Spinny man. The Wolves traded Karl Anthony Towns last night, bro. What are we doing, man? You gotta help me out with this one, man. I don't know.
That was the most never saw it coming trade ever for me. It was just it was on the level of Paul George to the Clippers where it was just oh,
Yes,
gone.
actually.
And you're just that one was at 2 o'clock in the morning. So
Right.
we were both out at that time. And I remember that phone call was pretty funny. But this one was what at 9 o'clock at night? Just
Yeah. Just
ah,
chilling on my couch and
bye. See you later. We had got back from a wedding we dipped out of, and it was oh, Cat's traded, and I'm just what? It
literally.
it was unreal. To break it down, really though, DiVincenzo, Randall, and a 2025 protected first from Detroit for Cat.
Okay.
Now, I'm
Correct.
gonna start with the money piece of it. Randall on a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal and a player option. DiVincenzo 3-year deal, um, underpaid in my opinion for what he is. Do you have that exact detail for me?
11-ish a year.
Yeah. So on
11
that
mil a
third,
year
yeah,
ish.
11 million a year over 3 years, and then Cat obviously with that 4-year, 56, 58, 60, 62. If I
Yeah.
think I'm right on
Yeah.
that one. So that's I think a big reason the Wolves did this. Open up cap space for them in the next
Especially with the
after two
second
years from
second
now.
apron, right? The second
Yes.
apron's going to be kicking in here this season. They're trying to get ahead of the game from that standpoint.
And it really showed what we all thought, I guess, is that they didn't believe in Cat as the two. They paid him like a two. Now they got two guys that obviously aren't the two either, but can play. I mean, I think Randall is at least giving us 90% of Cat, 80 to 90% of Cat, as long as the health is there, which is probably not going to be, but if we can get 60 games out of Randall, it's probably good. DiVincenzo adds to a bench that we needed exactly what he is on our team, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely perfect.
Yep.
And I also do think the floor spacing situation. I know that makes no sense with Cat, but we're not going to get out of control drives from Julius Randle. That's not who he is as a player. And so I think from that perspective, there is a little more spacing fit with Anthony Edwards, allows Rudy to do what he does, and Randall's been really good at that throughout his career and kind of learned how to play that way.
Well, and Julius is a ISO scorer as well as we saw in the Mavs series, especially. We were really missing a second ISO scorer behind Ant. Ant was basically the only one that could get buckets on his own. Even Cat was struggling throughout that series. So from that standpoint, I get it, but he's a much worse 3-point shooter than Cat. So it's
Yeah.
like teams are going to seg off him even more. I really question the fit him next to Rudy because of that. Obviously, DiVincenzo off the bench. We have DiVincenzo, Nikhil Alexander Walker, and Nas off the bench, 6 through 8. I mean, that's pretty much as good as any. That makes your bench really legit and really deep, especially when you drafted, two studs and TSJ and Rob Dillingham as well. You still got Minot, you got all these depth bigs as well too. So, but the fit with Randall next to Rudy, I just don't like that whatsoever. And not to mention, everyone's always on Cat's case about choking the playoffs. Rudy chokes more in the playoffs than Cat. He does. He's way worse in the playoffs. And not to mention, another thing everyone complains about is Cat's body language and his constant bitching to the refs. Guess what Julius Randle does? Even worse. Like Julius's body language is so notoriously bad. I mean, everyone comments on that. Like, why do you think the Knicks fans hated him? Because he constantly brought team morale down. So I'm really worried about that, especially from a chemistry standpoint as well. We're just gonna go ahead and trade our second best player from last season 2 to 3 weeks before the season gets rolling. Like training camp's right around right here. We're about to start training camp. You're gonna trade
Yeah.
Ant's best friend? They're best friends off the court too. Like I just, man, I'm shook.
I did think the timing was weird, but I think it came down to this. I think it came down to
So
Randall is
timing. Let me
80%.
let me ask you
Go
about the
ahead.
timing. You think
Yep.
so? So they do you believe that they didn't think they were going to be able to move Cat either by the deadline or next season? Because in my eyes, I feel like they would have been able to.
And that's the thing I wonder about is like, do you make this trade at the deadline this year? If you don't, because like it hurts me a little that this is really how I feel about this trade. Is there's so much what if that I didn't get to see. It kind of breaks my heart, right? I feel like Cat finally figured it out and
Exactly.
finally got it. And we got up to the map series. Like, if we could get Nuggets series Cat for the playoffs, like, we're loving our lives. Like,
Yeah.
that's a number two that you're like, holy shit, like, let's do it, you know? And so I think that is what was hard for me is like, this was Cat's real. I mean, the Butler one you can talk about, but that was a completely different player. It's like this is Cat's real. Like, okay, we're getting good playoff play now. The map series was obviously awful, but we at least got some of it. Like now going into the next season with all that confidence, and I mean, you saw the whole thing with him
Exactly.
being in the facility at 3 a.m. with his dad, and it's just like that's when he, you know, that's what he was doing the day before they got the call, and then the not telling him and the three dots and all that stuff. It's like I just felt like Cat finally might have figured it out, and we
Yeah,
didn't
no,
get to
I
see it.
agree. And that's the other reason why I am so upset about this deal. Cat has been with us for 9 years, almost a whole decade. He never once in 9 years requested a trade. Never once. Do you know how easy it would have been, especially in today's NBA, to request a trade on the shitty ass teams we were giving him?
Yeah,
He was supposed to be a franchise cornerstone. He was the number one pick, and we were throwing out. No offense to Jake Layman, I know there's some Jake Layman stands out there, but Jake Layman was a starter for us. Like guys like that, like that's what we were giving Cat for support. And now when he finally has good players, he willingly took the backseat to Ant when Ant took over, and we're going to repay him by not even telling him that he's being traded. That is that's gross to me. Like that's inexcusable. Like we're not going to have any respect for this man who just gave 10 years of his career to us, almost a whole decade. Like
yeah,
I'm pissed, man. I'm pissed.
I agree with that piece of it too. Um, and like to be honest, this is coming from at least me. I'm gonna speak for myself here. I'm kind of a Cat hater when it comes to play on the court. I've kind of always been on the hating side of that. So I don't hate what we did. I think we played it smart as far as the opposite of a lot of NBA teams do with young stars. They try to get really good right away and spend all their capital, and we kind of did that with Gobert a little bit, but now we are replenishing some of that and giving ourselves more flexibility where if Anthony Edwards is a top 5 player, which we all think he's going to be in 2 years,
Right.
we're going to have the second, a max contract cap space with a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's Minnesota and we haven't exactly been free a free agent destination in the past, but when you have a top 5 player, I think that makes you a free agent destination, especially for guys looking to win championships, that are in that 8 to 15th best player in the league range. So
Not even from a free agent standpoint either. And I know Nas is doing an extension almost as soon as next summer.
yeah,
So just to even keep our young guys in house, I think that was the main reason. You know what I mean? It's not even to get different free agents to come. Obviously we're going to want to fill out a roster with some vets, some mid level exceptions, guys like that. But um, it's more for the Nas thing. I really think like they truly want Nas to take over and really build around Ant, Jaden, and Nas. More of a youth movement. Not that Cat's old by any means, but 9, 10 years in the league, that is a long time.
that seems a little wild to me if that's the reason, to be honest with
I
you.
hope not, but like to me, that's what I see.
Because I don't like I love Nas Reed, I love Jaden McDaniels, but I don't see a two in the NBA. I don't see a second best player on a championship team from
Neither
any
of
of
them
those
are.
guys.
No.
And we obviously know right now and forever, like Rudy and Randall aren't those guys either. So unless we're looking for a second star, and that's what's up with this pick and this, you know, max deal cap space, if that's not the reason, then I think we did this wrong, and I think it's a terrible move because we did trade
Right.
a guy that does at least I think I know is a 3 on a championship team.
Right.
And
I mean, he was just our second best player on the Western Conference Finals team.
yeah,
This
exactly.
was the best Wolves team record wise in franchise history.
Yeah.
That's the other, main reason why I'm so upset. We're going to break up our best team in franchise history weeks before the season starts. Why? Like that just shattered team chemistry in my eyes. Is this going to ruin trust with our other players? Are they going to lose trust in our front office because we're just shipping out key pieces of our team without even informing the player beforehand? You know what I mean? I feel like this could have serious implications in that regard down the road, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'll be TBD, but I think this could go either way. I really do. And hopefully it goes the Wolves' way. Either we can run back what we had this year with more depth, and that's how we make it happen. And Ant takes that really another step, and then we're looking good. Or, in 2 years, this really pays off, and we get one of those bona fide stars in free agency to Minnesota. Either way, I hope it works out for us.